What's going on, guys? Sean Nalawani, SeanNal.com. And in this video today, I'm going to be giving you 10 tips that you can apply if you've hit a bench press plateau and your strength numbers aren't going up. I'd say out of all the different exercises that lifters tend to get stuck on, the bench press is definitely one of the most common. And so here's what I would suggest doing about it. Tip number one, first and foremost, is to really ask yourself whether or not you've truly hit a legit bench press plateau to begin with. Building muscle is a slow and gradual process, and so is building a big bench press. Or just getting strong on any lift in general. A lot of guys will come to me and say that their bench press is stuck, but then when they show me their actual strength numbers, it turns out that they're progressing at a perfectly reasonable pace and they're just expecting too much too soon. I mean, if all you did was add 5 pounds to the bar in total for every 3 weeks of consistent benching, which is less than 1 pound on either side of the bar per week on average, if you did that over the course of a year, you'd end up with 85 more pounds on the bar. So for the year as a whole, the number ends up being pretty significant, but from week to week, the improvements are so small that it might not even feel like they count. So you have to focus on baby steps here and keep in mind that even doing one extra rep with the same weight is still significant progress, and it doesn't mean you've hit a plateau. So start writing your workouts down in detail and make it your goal to beat the logbook every week by just making small micro progressions. And as long as the numbers are consistently going up over time, you're probably on the right track and you might not need to make any adjustments at all. Now, assuming you truly have hit a bench press plateau and the numbers have been totally stuck for several weeks or more, tip number two, a very simple one, and that is to prioritize the bench press in your workout. The research shows that whatever movement you train first in your workout tends to improve the fastest in terms of strength and muscle growth because you'll be hitting that exercise when your muscles and your nervous system are fully primed and at their peak strength. So if your other lifts are improving but your bench press isn't, make sure to perform the bench press as the very first movement in your workout. Tip number three is to really hone in on your bench press technique. It might look like a really simple exercise on the surface, but it's actually a really complex movement with a lot of smaller details that have to be taken into account if you want to put up the biggest numbers possible. Now, this video here is not meant to be a bench press tutorial. Entire books have been written on the subject. And there are quite a few tutorials that you can find online if you look. But the main point that I want to make here is to just keep in mind that bench pressing is a skill. It's a skill that has to be learned and that you can improve on. And in a lot of cases, fixing your bench press plateau is a matter of fixing your bench press technique. So just some of the main simple things, I'm not going to demonstrate them here because they're pretty straightforward. But you want to make sure that your scapula is retracted throughout the exercise and that you have your elbows slightly tucked because that's going to let you drive your shoulders back into the bench. Make sure to keep a solid base with your legs and drive your heels into the ground. Make sure to keep your wrists neutral, like I talked about a couple weeks ago. Don't let them bend backward like a lot of people do. That's going to decrease your strength and put more strain on your wrist joint. And also make sure to find the right grip width because that's also going to maximize strength output. There's no perfect grip width that's going to apply to everybody, but the bottom line is to find the grip width that causes your forearms to be perpendicular to the floor with your hands and elbows directly stacked on top of each other. Those are just some of the main form cues. I'll try to put out a complete tutorial at some point, but again, bench pressing is a skill, and the more skilled you become, the stronger you're going to become also. Tip number four is to just bench press more often. Now, there can become a point of doing too much if you aren't careful, but in general, if you want to increase your strength on a given movement, the simplest thing you can do is to increase the frequency and or the volume per session for that specific movement. And this helps not only in terms of increasing your raw physical strength, but also just in terms of becoming a more skilled bench presser from a technical standpoint. So if right now you're only benching once per week, try increasing that to twice per week. If you're already benching twice a week, then try increasing that to 3 times a week and see if it helps. Start by upping the frequency, and if you're able to easily handle that, then you can also increase the volume as well. So if right now you're doing 3 sets of bench press per workout, you can increase that to 4 or 5 sets. And ideally, if you are going to be doing a higher volume benching phase, then you'll want to decrease the volume a bit on your other exercises to compensate to make sure that you're fully recovering. Tip number 5 is to include some accessory movements. So remember that the bench press is a compound exercise, And even though the pecs are the targeted muscle, your shoulders and triceps are also heavily involved as well. And so all of these muscle groups need to be fully strengthened in order to continually add more weight to your bench. So it's possible that you might have a weak link in there somewhere. And a very general way of checking that is to see where your sticking point is. So if it's in the bottom position, then it's either going to be your chest or your shoulders or both. That's usually where most people have their issue. And if it's more toward the top half, then it's going to be more triceps. So there's a lot of different movements that can help out here. For strengthening the bottom position, a basic dumbbell press is a good option because it gives you a slightly larger range of motion. You can do a pause bench press where you just do a normal bench press, but you hold the weight for 2 to 3 seconds in the bottom position before pressing it back up. And an overhead press would also be useful using either a barbell or dumbbells. That's going to help you build more shoulder strength, which is going to carry over to your bench press. And then for triceps, a close grip bench press would be helpful. If you're more advanced, you can also do board work with 2 or 3 boards laying on your chest. That's going to help you strengthen your lockout. Or you can also get the same effect by bench pressing inside of a power rack and setting the pins up higher. And from there, just any basic tricep extension, that's also going to assist you as well. These are just a few examples because there are a lot of different possible accessory movements that you could perform, but this will give you a good starting point. Tip number 6 is to increase your calories. You can build strength effectively eating at maintenance or even in a deficit if you're more of a beginner, but this will usually only happen up to a point before you just need to gain more overall mass to keep the strength numbers going. And this is especially true with a bench press plateau because benching is one exercise where just being heavier in general really helps you get more leverage and more control over the weight. And that's why for a lot of lifters, when they do a cutting phase and they start dropping overall body weight, the bench press is usually one of the first lifts where the strength losses are the most noticeable. So if your body weight has been totally stagnant, then that means that you're currently eating at your calorie maintenance level, in which case you can add an extra 100 to 200 calories on top of your current intake in order to keep things moving. Tip number 7 is to perform a weight acclimation warm-up, which is going to help to prime your nervous system before those heavy working sets. And the basic idea here is to start off with a very light weight for higher reps, and then gradually increase the weight while lowering the reps and working up to the maximum weight that you'll be using for the first main set of your workout. Now the numbers here don't need to be exact, but this is a basic template that you can follow, and the percentage given is the percentage of the weight that you'll be using on your first heavy set of the workout. And I'll put this in the description box below as well. So 3 more basic tips. Tip number 8 is to decrease your rep range. If you've been benching mainly using moderate to higher reps, so let's say 8 reps or more, try dropping that down to around the 4 to 6 rep range. Heavier weights for lower reps are going to be more effective for building raw strength, and that might be what you need in order to spark some further strength gains. Just make sure to increase the weight cautiously and make sure that your form and your technique are still fully on point, even with the heavier load. Tip number 9 is to rest longer in between sets. I've talked about this in previous videos, but if your goal is to gain muscle and gain strength at your full capacity, then it's really important that you're not just jumping right into your next set before you've had a chance to fully recover from the previous one. And this is especially true in the case of a bench press plateau, where conserving every bit of strength possible is going to be really important in helping you to add more weight to the bar. So short rest times of 1 to 2 minutes are probably fine for those lighter and easier isolation exercises, but if your bench press has hit a sticking point, try bumping that up to rest periods of at least 3 to 4 minutes between each set. And tip number 10 is to use micro plates. So let's say you've been stuck at 200 pounds for 5 reps for a few weeks. You can't get that 6th rep, but going up to 205 feels too heavy for you. In that case, one option is to micro load by adding 1 1/4 pound plates to each side, or even less than that, rather than the regular 2.5 pound plates. There's nothing mandatory about using exact 5-pound increases on the bench press, and sometimes adding a bit less than that can help you land in the sweet spot that you need in order to keep things moving forward. So you can just buy some basic micro plates off of Amazon or buy them locally and just keep them in your gym bag for when you need them. So that's it, 10 tips to break through a bench press plateau. And if you go through and apply all of these tips properly, then you shouldn't have any issues getting those strength numbers moving again. So I hope this was helpful. If you want to get all the tools you need in terms of training, nutrition, and supplementation to maximize your size and strength gains as efficiently as possible for all exercises and all muscle groups without the hype and BS, then you can grab my complete step-by-step body transformation blueprint by clicking the little icon at the top of the screen here, or by heading over to btblueprint.com. The link is in the description box. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. The official website is over at seannall.com. And make sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram as well. The links for that are also in the description box. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you again soon.